first order of business is Hamilton Crossings, evaluation of right-of-way and reconveyance on Fox Road.
The reason this is before this committee is there's some policy issues about right-of-way and encroachment township property, right-of-way exchange. And it came up through the lot line adjustment before the planning commission, and we really felt that some more before the commission issues, relinquishment of right-of-way and the assessment of right-of-way and also some encroachment that's needed for access.
Okay, did the planning commission provide any sort of recommendation on that?
They tabled it.
Yeah, it was open agenda, because our comments were extensive on it.
Basically, we submitted a lot, this is Blaze Opperman, and if you remember, there's a number of little homes on the Opperman track that come over the property line. So we worked out an agreement in principle, let's say something. We're going to give these lands to the home park, those little homes roads.
I remember that discussion.
And Opperman's giving a little piece of land to us too, although a piece of land he's given is left. Nonetheless, he's giving us a piece of land which will allow us to have an active drive on his property and the board.
Okay. This really grew out of our very first review of this project, wherein these encroachments actually was a zoning enforcement situation. In other words, had Opperman not worked something out with its developer, these homes literally would have to be removed or whatever. So, you know, this developer is graciously trying to work this out so that there'll be a minimum of 10 feet, which is the regulation. There needs to be a minimum of 10 feet from the edge of the mobile homes to the property line. So this was being swapped for something up front.
Okay, now that I understand. So this area of right-of-way here,
is what you'll be giving back to the developer, and then this is what he's going to be giving you along Crocs besides. So
Basically a shift to the west.
yeah, just
This is the line shift.
if you recall, with PennDOT had a little bit of, you can see PennDOT's curve that they have in the roadway to start with. They were trying to match up with some of these things in the south, and then you have the quarry up here, and as we're widening the intersection, we still have to stay away from the quarry. We have a little more flexibility of widening over at the PennDOT's detention pond area than we do at the quarry. So most of the new widening has to go to the west instead of to the east.
okay. Does this shift the center line of the road? Are
We-
we rebuilding that?
We're actually rebuilding the road. The road's pretty much going from a 3-lane cross-section to a 5-lane cross-section in most cases, some cases even more. Up here at the intersection, you have 5 lanes on the northbound approach and 2 lanes, or 3 lanes on the southbound approach until you get to the first driveway, then 2 lanes down below there. So the whole road's widening pretty much from Hamilton up to 222.
Okay, so but if we are deleting right-of-way over here, is the whole road going to fit inside our right-of-way down there where we have the 8 lanes?
Yeah. Well, we have the new right-of-way that's being dedicated, this is per the zoning decision, you know, goes from back of curb to back of curb, and you know, that's what the new right-of-way line is going to be set, and then there's going to be an easement outside of that for signs and traffic signals and anything else that's needed to go along with the roadway.
The minimum's 80 feet, which is
Yeah.
important because it's
Yeah.
compliant. So it's no less than 80 feet.
That's up to about 120 on the northern line.
The process, I think, would be that the planning commission can review this with the lot line adjustment, but the relinquishment requires public hearing. So the lot line adjustment becomes the board could be conditionally approved on the eventual relinquishing of the right-of-way and acquisition. And it could be at the same time as the conditional use permit, so there's only one stenographer and all of that comes in one advertising. So probably where you'll see at the planning commission, once they're okay with it, is the lot line adjustment first with a condition having to do with the right-of-way swap or relinquishing.
And just to be clear, Tim, you already touched on this, it's going through the process, however, until we close on the diocese property and Kim's property, where we're basically ready to start the project. We're not looking for the actual swap of any of the land to happen prior to that. it's
You're looking
obviously,
for the approval now.
Basically, approval now,
Deed
and-
swapping will all be done.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Yeah,
There's no-
the approval would basically say, this approval will become effective once the final plan is approved, and there's no further appeals or whatever. It springs into existence once the final plan approval is in place, the plan's recorded, and so on and so forth.
And the concern, if we don't start the process now, and we don't want to get to be ready to record the plan, all of a sudden we can't record it because we're utilizing a piece of property that hasn't transferred, and we have to wait 60 or 90 days until the vacation occurs.
And typically on vacations, the only concern you have is property owners that will object, and obviously they're the adjoiner of the entire frontage, so you don't have to worry about that. So there will not be any procedural issues when the vacation hearing actually occurs.
yes, that's why we wanted to come here in advance.
Yeah, if you were vacating this property, without this project going forward, the property would go back to the diocese anyway, because the property on both sides of the road would require the diocese.
All
That's part
right.
of 242.
Road shifting up here?
It has to line up with the driveway to
To
that
the driveway?
Bradman, yeah.
Okay.
So, that was critical because he already said that he would object to the plans if we tried to move the road. And took away his signalized access, but he will cooperate as long as he maintains his traffic signal.
That's Baird Medical.
Very medical.
Right.
I want them to be too, that's part of this whole.
We've been talking with them, as it happens, they've got a very good land use attorney, John Van Louvenet, and we've met with them several times. If you remember, Doug, remember at one time long ago, Bud had a kind of a
Sweep.
Yeah, I remember that.
and that would have had the effect of eliminating his signal. And so we went down to see him and his land use attorney, and they objected. And that was one of the factors that contributed to us abandoning that idea and just going straight now with the T.
Okay.
What we're looking for today is a recommendation from this committee on this plan, so that when this goes before the commissioners, there's a recommendation from planning and zoning.
All right. You said right away goes curb to curb though?
Yeah, back and curve, back and curve. That's what the zoning decision was.
So these lines will follow the curb?
Yes.
So the darker lines are going to be
Yes.
curb. Is that standard for us? Do we,
It's not standard, but it's been discussed at length, and the feeling was for a lot of reasons, and it makes sense in this case, but that's not standard. Typically, the right-of-way goes beyond the curb line, but in this case, they're providing easements, and they're agreeing to maintain the facilities that were in those easements. So it's a highly unusual situation here that predicated this happening, but it's not normally done this way.
I think part of that
We certainly
decision,
have no
Doug,
problem with it.
part of the decision, Doug, too, was if you remember, we have those 8-foot wide paths, pedestrian bicycle paths and stuff, and they're actually going to be on the shopping center property, then there's no question of who's responsible maintaining them or anything. I think that was part of the thinking on this, is keep the stuff on the shopping center property, shopping center will be maintaining it all.
And
okay.
there's no proposed widening at any point for Fox Road.
Did we resolve the location of the bikeways and the
Yes,
bike trails through
yes.
there? Is there going to be one inside the curb line, or is it all going to go outside?
There's two, one on, well, there's four. There's one on the inside of the curb line going northbound, one on the inside of the curb line going southbound, one outside the curb line going northbound, and one going south.
Well, one's more of a being during multi-use path
Kind of a
on the
local
side of
as
the
opposed to a
shopping.
regional. The idea is to have a regional connection between here, which would be the ones inside the curb.
And as you know, we're going to be applying for a DCNR grant to extend a bike trail along the utility easement to come down to Harvest Field. So we'll have a
yeah,
connection,
okay.
and there's
Yeah.
sidewalk crossings that are proposed and everything with the land development, so it makes sense.
All right, so we're moving along with this thing, and you said that they agreed, or do you agree to take care of the, is that traffic control signs and all that are placed along this road? Is that we're out of that then? Or?
Well, there's going to be a whole, PennDOT has kind of taken a little bit further position over what they want to permit directly with the developer and what they want to permit through the township. There's going to end up being an entire agreement between the township and the developer of what the developer is going to maintain for the township, including some facilities up along the north and along Crocs.
And we'll get a look at that with the land development plan when it comes in the condition, I imagine with conditional use, a lot of that will already be, addressed. But the main thing is just, would you recommend to the commissioners that they do this relinquishment, because that'll be a formal hearing that'll come before the full board.
Yeah, okay, staff's in alignment with this?
Absolutely.
Staff is, engineers are in alignment with this, so, okay. Planning Commission did not provide a recommendation, but...
No, but they'll be looking at it in the context of the lot line adjustment.
And they did look at it in the context of the lane layout with the bike lanes and whatnot, and at that point in time, it was discussed that the intended right-of-way would be the curb.
And there will be no changes after this?
You never say never, you're still working on
Okay,
that, right? We don't anticipate any.
I think they're limiting
My
the options.
my old buddies at PennDOT have been a real pain in the...
No, yeah,
through.
but just make it work
That's
a
what they
little
say
harder.
about you, bud.
I know.
So we can fit in.
Right.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, there's not a whole lot they could ask for.
No,
We've
it's
been
not
trying to
much more to do.
downsize as opposed to upsize.
Is there a recommendation from the committee in this regard?
I'll make a motion that we recommend the land swap or the right-of-way transfer as depicted on the plan.
Thank you.
Okay, and I guess I'll second that. Anybody have any comments? I'll take from the floor. Is that yes or no?
I'm just saying hello to you, Doug.
Okay, oh, no, okay, anybody? All right, let's call for the vote then, all in favor? Aye. Vote done, so.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well,
Great,
here,
thank you very much.
I wanted to roll out the plan for the encroachment into the township park.
Encroachment into Township Park, okay.
I'm going to request that it be put on the Park and Rec Committee agenda for this month, which will be on the 27th, if the committee wants to move it to them.
Yeah, a couple of things that are going on here. Doug, you've seen this on this before, is, this driveway has to line up with the driveway to Ethan Allen. As a result, part of the access way is going to have to come across some of the township property. And the township, from the start of this project, wanted to, if a traffic light was going in here, we wanted a direct connection from the park to be able to utilize that traffic light to get in and out onto Hamilton. So that's part of this. So we need to work out the details on this connection. We are also right now looking at an ADA accessible, walkway connection between the two properties. So that has to get worked out with them. And then over in here, there was some discussion about what to do on here, how to landscape this area and stuff. And part of what we were originally looking at was possibly doing a 3-to-1 grading and landscaping this heavy in this area, but that was encroaching too far into the park. The staff came back and said, pull this back, put a wall in here, and get some, still get some landscaping between the park and what you may have up there at Costco. It's up near Costco and Costco's voting areas.
I've attended enough Boy Scout functions at that pavilion. I know that there's a channel that runs down right about on the property line there. What's your intention?
We're going to end up piping most of that. We're going to pick it up where it comes off of Hamilton Boulevard, and actually, we just had some discussion. We were piping it right behind the wall. The staff's discussion was let's pipe this straight down, and then we'll be discharging back here. So that'll take most of the flow. The only flow you'll get running along here then will be what comes off the field at the session stand. Yeah, Ethan Allen. It takes a little bit of that area back.
We suggest that they go to Park and Rec also to talk about, what they could do to mitigate the encroachment, because that log house is
Yeah,
there.
this is our log cabin. And we have events out every year.
That's the garden right there.
And I'm assuming that this dark line here is going to be the curve.
That's correct.
So your curve is going to encroach pretty close.
And also
over
talk
that way.
to Blake about it, since he's on the historical commission, I think.
That is
They're
a
working with
historical
him, so
structure. Okay.
I think
So, I think, yeah, this is a well-attended pavilion and a well-attended park, and this is our rec center over here. A lot of events occur over there. So So, you know, I think I would want this to go off the Park and Rec and to the Historical Committee or Society or whatever commission we have.
There's a Park and Rec meeting on the 27th, so we're going to be there.
Okay.
And we have some ideas on how to try to mitigate this, which
Okay.
we'll talk to you about that. One of which is relocating that garden to another part of the property. And Sarah suggested maybe some kind of decorative picket fence or something along that curve.
That area, you know, this area down here gets used as well for horseshoes or badminton or whatever, you know, whoever rents that out, so I'm not really keen on.
Yeah, but there might be a much
that
better way,
area.
yeah, it might be a better way to handle that, the walking interconnection, because that we try to keep that 5% grade, which it kind of made it tough, but there may be a better location. We would like to get the township's feedback on where best to put that.
And that driveway location was a suggestion from Planning Commission when we looked at some sketch plans with the variance plan and moving it up so it lined up with that access drive, and then also was on the other side of the pavilion, so
Right.
that's what necessitated the extra grading.
The need for that driveway, who was it originally that came up with that?
Township actually requested that when we first met with
To
them.
get to the
very
signal.
long time ago, that was,
You know, that way people.
it's so dangerous trying to come out of here.
To make a
We
left.
figured it was critical for them to come and be able to come out of that traffic light to make it safe,
Yeah, it's,
right-hand turn,
It's
or
a-
left-hand turn coming out.
yeah, it's just a little concern, it's a mix of your recreational facility here and traffic going in and out here, is whether two-way or one-way would be more appropriate, I don't know.
In my
If
previous
it's only
days,
for out, then.
as a soccer mom, you're always running to get Gatorade. She was-
Once you leave, you can't get back in. I
Or it's
guess.
bound to be an ice cream place over here.
That's exactly right.
We want direct access to the ice cream place.
I think, Bud, right now you have that as two-way, right?
Yeah, it's two-way.
Right.
Two-way. Well,
And we kicked around the, you know, is it egress only just to get out to the signal?
I don't think we need a recommendation from the committee now, but I thought since we're talking.
Just more
about
FYI.
this, It's an
Yeah.
FYI,
Yeah, I
we can
think-
raise any concerns,
Yeah,
it should be addressed.
It is something that we should get township feedback on.
Yes, yes.
There's a lot of things we can do with design now that, you know, if we don't account for it now, we won't be able to do in the future.
And we will get ideas from the Park and Rec committee.
I think that's good.
We'll get that on the 27th.
Yeah, this, the only thing I also would suggest is, you know, there could be an easement here for, like a slope easement.
Yeah.
or whatever.
Grading easement, okay.
But the wall, if there's gonna be a wall here, I'd like a note or whatever, that wall will be maintained in the future by the developer.
Yep.
Right, we had talked about that, obviously.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, and add that.
temporary construction easement and then, you know, a maintenance
maintenance agreement.
Maintenance easement and maintenance agreement.
Okay,
That can be part of our development.
sure, okay.
The thought was just, you know, not having a 14-foot high wall there right on the property line.
Oh,
You
no,
know,
I-
be able to
no, I
landscape this a
understand.
little bit better.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it doesn't encroach on the functionality of the field.
Yeah. No,
In addition to, you had the 14-foot high wall, and then you had the screening fence next, you know, right on top of that, so it would have been a pretty large, pretty high structure that you weren't breaking up
It would have been, it's not 14.
It would have been 14 if it was on the property.
by the property line.
I think the maximum now is 8.
Quite a piece of having
Right here.
one elevation, really.
I really did do a building number.
Yeah,
That would have been an attractive nuisance.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, FYI, only.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
See you next week.